Okay. All right, good afternoon. I'm Karen Stepper, the chair of the SWAT meeting today for the Southwest Area Transportation Committee on January 30th, 2023. Welcome to our meeting. We have a quorum, so we will go ahead and take a roll call vote here first. And before we do that, I'm going to ask Darlene to give any information about the COVID message and AB 261.
I can read that
from San Ramon.
I can read that today. This is Chris Weeks from the city of San Ramon.
Chris Weeks is our new representative for everything, right? Thank you.
I'll volunteer for anything. I'm crazy.
And Chris has been here a while already online. So thank you, Chris.
Thank you. So Assembly Bill 361 suspends certain provisions of the Brown Act, allowing public meetings to be held by teleconference. As a precaution to protect the health and safety of staff, officials, and the general public, committee members will not be physically in attendance, but will be available via video conference. Members of the public may submit written public comments by emailing me, cweeks@sanramon.ca.gov, with the agenda item number identified in the subject line of the email. For example, public comment not on the agenda, or public comment agenda number. All written comments should be 350 words max, which corresponds to approximately 3 minutes of speaking time. To comment by video conference, click the Raise Your Hand button to request to speak when the public comment period is opened on an agenda item. You will then be unmuted when it is your turn to make your comment for up to 3 minutes. After the allotted time, you will then be remuted. Thank you.
All right. Then we will go ahead and we have convened the meeting. Would you please take roll call?
Mayor Sauce?
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Veros?
Here.
Supervisor Anderson?
Here.
Councilmember Geringer?
Here.
Vice Chair G?
Here.
And Chair Stepper?
Here. All right, thank you. And we'll note that Sheree Rose is here in lieu of David Hudson today. So welcome, Sheree, for being here. Appreciate that. We will go through a couple of items and then we will have a change of officers at that point in time. So the first item is our public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that says that they would have raised a hand? Seeing none. Okay, then thank you. Then we will close the public comment, go to administrative items. Is there anything you wanted to change in the agenda or announce? Chris? No? Nope. Thank you. The consent agenda, then this is for the meeting minutes for September 12th, 2022. Do we have a motion or any comment or revised?
I'll move approval, but I would appreciate my name was spelled right in the minutes. In the second line. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll second that motion.
All right.
Do you want my name spelled right, Candace, or does it matter?
I think your name should be corrected. So I will second your motion to spell your name correctly, and we will not call you Renta. We'll call you Renata. It happens with Candace, often I can dance, or they will Anderson with an S-O-N. So, you know.
I see. Okay, all right. No, you don't get 2 votes because your name's spelled twice. Thank you. Any other changes to the minutes? If not, we have a motion and a second. Would you please take roll call for the consent agenda? Chris?
Mayor Sauce?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Veros?
I'll abstain because I wasn't there on that call. So for now, I abstain.
Okay. Supervisor Anderson?
I'm voting yes, even though I wasn't there as well. Under the Brown Act, you can still vote for minutes even if you weren't there. And I reviewed them and they appear accurate based upon what my staff who were present indicated.
Okay, thank you. We'll mark you as yes. Councilmember Geringer?
Aye.
Pronouncing your name wrong.
Geringer, yes, but
Geringer.
it is spelled correctly in the minutes.
Excellent. I'm glad we did that.
Right.
Vice Chair G?
I'll vote aye, even though, again, I wasn't personally there, but.
Okay. Chair Stepper?
Aye.
Okay, that passes 5-0 and 1 abstention.
Okay, we have approved the minutes with the revision for the spelling of Renata Sauce. We also have clarification again on the minutes. As long as you are serving in this body, you are subject to the minutes that you just approved, whether you voted for it or not, because you're going to go forward with all the actions that we took last time and continue. Or as Candace said, even more shortly, was as long as you have done your due diligence and read the minutes, then you know that you're abiding by them, then it is appropriate to vote for them so that you don't end up somewhere without a quorum at some time. That said, welcome to all of you, and let's have the staff introduce themselves so anybody coming on will be known who is there. First, I will announce again, well, we've gone through the roll call many times. We have Supervisor Candace Anderson, and we have Lafayette represented by Teresa Geringer. We have San Ramon represented by Sridhar Barose. We have Lafayette represented by Darlene G.
No, I'm from Orinda, Karen.
I'm sorry, Darlene G.
Teresa doesn't want me to take over Lafayette too. No, so.
No, I don't think so. Renata Sauce is representing Moraga. Okay. All right, then staff, will you please introduce yourselves and the people that you are representing?
I'll just start since I was already talking. Chris Weeks, I'm the Division Manager for Transportation for the City of San Ramon.
Thank you. Andy?
Oh, go ahead.
Andy?
Hi, everyone. Andy Dillard, Transportation Manager with the Town of Danville. And I'd also like to introduce Adam Cleary, who's on this call. He's the town's new Transportation Program Specialist. So you'll be seeing more of him in the future.
All right, thank you.
Everyone. Thank you, Andy.
Excellent. Okay. Patrick?
I'm Patrick Golier, and I'm the Transportation Program Manager with the City of Lafayette.
Thank you. Siva?
Hi, Siva Natarajan, City Engineer, City of Orinda.
Robert? Robert, I can't hear you. Thank you.
Oh, Robert Sarmiento, planner with Contra Costa County.
All right, thank you. Melody?
Hi, Melody Reeves, Director of Planning and Marketing with County Connection.
Thank you for being here today. Celestine?
Hi, good afternoon. Celestine Doe from BART with Grants and Funding Advocacy.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Robert Prince?
This is Robert Prince, Advocacy Director with Becky Spay. Glad to be here.
Okay, thank you again. Is there anybody? And again, welcome to Adam Cleary. He's on my screen now. Thank you. All right, is there anyone who has not been introduced? Well, welcome for joining us today, because all of those issues that you represent are certainly on our agenda, and we appreciate you coming. The next item is the election of the 2023 SWAT Chair, and that I'm looking for, we now have a normal rotation, and the normal rotation would be to go to Darlene next, but I'll let somebody take it over. Is there any motion for approval of our nomination of the chair for the upcoming year for SWAT?
I would nominate Darlene Gee, City of Orinda, to be our chair of SWAT.
I'll second.
All right, so it's been moved by Candace Anderson and seconded by Renata Sauce. RENATA, so get that right in our minutes this time. Is there any other nomination for the chair of SWAT for next year? Okay, seeing none, then I'll ask that we take a roll call vote for the nomination and election of Darlene Gee from Orinda. Chris?
Okay, make sure I got this right. Vice Mayor Barose?
Yes, by the way, I'm council member, not vice mayor anymore. So
Oh, really?
2 weeks back, I rotated.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Mistake. Councilmember Barose?
Yes.
Supervisor Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Geringer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stepper?
Aye.
Vice Chair Sauce?
Yes.
And Chair G?
Aye.
All right, then it passes unanimously. And so, Darlene, are you prepared to take the gavel now to run the rest of the meeting?
Yes, I have the agenda in front of me. Karen, thank you. So I can move us forward.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, and thank you for serving.
Thank you. It's very nice to join all of you. I could never fill Amy's shoes in any possible regard, but as many of you know, my professional background is also transportation, so it's an extra pleasure when I get to be participating in something transportation related. So very nice to see all of you. So with that, that moves us to Darlene. I hope I get used to being around another Darlene. It's very, very rare.
Yes, it is. And I said the same thing. It is very rare to be in a meeting with another person.
So that always catches my attention. But nevertheless, we're moving then to agenda item 6B.
No, excuse me, Darlene. We're moving to 6A, the second section.
Oh, I'm sorry, Karen, you're absolutely right. So that moves us to electing a vice chair for a one-year term effective February of 2023 through January 31st, 2024. So are there nominations for the vice chair position for SWAT?
I'm happy to nominate Renata Sauce, representing the town of Moraga.
And I will second that, Geringer.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, with that, Chris, I guess you're our roll taker.
Yeah, trying to get a little practice here. Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
Supervisor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Geringer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stepper,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sauce,
Yes.
and Chair G.
Yes.
I'd like to note I'm happy to defer to you to run the rest of the meeting, even though it's not February 1st yet, as it says on the agenda. Thank you.
Well, please do step in if I and thank you for catching that I jumped right over creating a vice chair position. So now I think that brings us to 6P, right? Which is to appoint the La Miranda SWAT representative and alternate to the Contra Costa Transportation Authority for a 2-year term effective February 1st of 23 through January 31st of 2025.
And I'm happy to do the motion. And do we want to do both the representative and the alternate at the same time, or take them separately?
I'm fine with doing them, maybe just for clarity and ease, let's just do them separately. So
Okay. Well, I would be honored to nominate Renata Sauce to be the next representative to CCTA.
is there a second?
I will second.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor. Okay, are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. Chris, you want to take the vote?
Yes, please. Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
Supervisor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Geringer,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stepper,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sauce,
Yes.
and Chair G.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Okay, with that, let's move to, is there a nomination then for the alternate to serve on the Contra Costa Transportation Authority for the next 2-year term?
Well, I'll move Teresa Geringer.
I'll second that.
Second.
All right, any
Seconded
other?
that? I missed that. Who seconded that? I didn't
Hey,
hear.
Karen.
Or no, I made the motion. Ignore me. Long
Karen
did.
Stepper made the second, and then
Okay, got it.
Renata
Thank
came
you.
in third.
Okay, are there any other nominations for the alternate position? All right, hearing none. Chris, can you take the vote for that, please?
Yes. Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
Supervisor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Geringer,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stepper,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sauce,
Yes.
and Chair G.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that brings us then to agenda item 6C, which is a request letter of support for Contra Costa Transportation Authority and the Contra Costa Health Services competitive grant application for the California Office of Traffic Safety Funding Cycle 23-24 to plan and implement a comprehensive countywide multi-agency bicycle and pedestrian safety education campaign. So is there a staff member that is planning to talk about this?
Do you want me to discuss that, Darlene?
Sure,
Yes.
that's fine, Chris.
Oh, wrong.
Other Darlene, sorry, Darlene.
Yeah, I
A.
was gonna say I saw the other Darlene nodding her head, so.
Okay, so we also did a letter of support for this from the city of San Ramon. It's a program that the county would like to get support for, some funding for, to be able to do a series of outreach programs related to Go Safety or Go Safely is the outreach and awareness and educational program. Did we include in this, Darlene A, the proposed letter?
Yes, it is in the packet.
Okay, so in light of some very high profile bicycle fatalities in the region in the last several years, including someone who I knew personally, I think that it would, I would like to recommend that we look at improving bicycle education regionally, as it's been shown that regionally, we do have issues in educating both motorists and cyclists and pedestrians on our roles and expectations. And I think a reminder also is helpful for people throughout their motoring career, whether it's human-powered motoring or non-human powered motoring, to be reminded of rules of the road and expectations. As many of us know, if you've ever had a driver's license, for one, you don't necessarily have to go back and have it renewed regularly. Those things are just automatically done, and there isn't a lot of DMV education done of motorists. And so just a reminder that there's other people out there is essential, I think, at minimum for motorists. And also reminding cyclists and pedestrians that oftentimes they're might be difficult to see, or looking at things from over the steering wheel and thinking about how to keep safe and what to look for on the roadway to make sure that you've been seen. I think those kinds of things are always helpful and useful to make sure that we're putting on the front burner to address these issues, rather than throwing necessarily only engineering reactions to situations and conflicts. I think education is one of the, for the amount of cash input required, has some of the greatest output. So I'd recommend that if staff is interested, join me in celebrating the regional approach to education and looking at new ways to fund it. Chair Stepper?
Not Chair.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. Yes, I'm happy to make a motion to support this grant. It's the grant that we're talking about, and not all the underlying things at this point in time, because I appreciate what you said, Chris, that we're all in different cities and we all support bicycle safety, particularly on our new bicycle commission in Danville. It's one of our missions. So I'm glad that they have written this letter, and we are glad to move that we support this grant application.
Thank you, Karen. Vice Chair Renata Sauce, did you have a comment, or did you want to second it?
I do have a comment. Thank you, Darlene G. And Chris, thank you for spearheading this. I think this is definitely worthy. Bicycle safety is paramount, both to keep people safe, but also to encourage people getting on bikes. Because if they're not safe, they won't get on. And thank you for writing a very compelling letter. My only thought on the letter is that, and I understand that the two individuals who are highlighted, that those were terrible tragedies, and I'm sorry for you, Chris, that one was a friend of yours. But I am wondering if we really want to get into those two examples because we are omitting all of the other people who tragically lost their lives on bicycles in the county over the course of the last couple years. And I don't want there to be any suggestion that tragedy was any less than what occurred to these two. So my only thought would be to consider taking out those two specific examples and simply making the point that we of course have been as deeply affected as all areas of the county, and that even one death is not acceptable, and that's why we support it. So that is my only thought.
Yeah, I think Vision Zero is definitely something that we're all shooting for. So rephrasing that section to be focused on our goal to eliminate all fatalities would be a compelling story. So I agree. I'm totally willing to remove and rewrite that section if that makes it easier. So happy to do that.
Good, and that sounds like a good good thing, and I agree that the acknowledgement of, we certainly don't want anyone to feel that their family member wasn't as important as someone else. So thank you for that. I think that's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions, comments, or second? Yes, Karen.
So I'm happy, to make that change in the letter with respect to the motion. I will comment, but not in the letter, that Joe Shammy, in his passing, is also made a tremendous grant of Mount Diablo for all of the additional turnouts that are going to be built there to make bicycles more safe.
Yeah, great guy.
Yes. All right. Is there a second or is there any other questions or before, or is there a second to Karen's motion?
I'm happy to second with the changes proposed.
Thank you, Candace. Okay, Chris, do you want to take the vote for that?
Vice Mayor Rose.
Yes.
Supervisor Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Geringer.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stepper.
Yes.
Vice Chair Sauce.
Yes.
And Chair G.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's unanimous. Appreciate your support, guys.
All right, that moves us to agenda item 7, which is quite a long assortment of written communications that were included in the meeting packet. Is there anything here with this that staff wants to particularly highlight, or anyone else has comments on? Yes, Karen.
I would ask Andy Dillard to make a comment on the additional comments that are in here that we should all be aware of for 511. Andy.
Oh, thanks, Chair Stepper. I just
Chair.
Committee member stuff.
Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to point out the great work done by Darlene Amaral, our TDM manager for 511 Contra Costa. There's a great report in section 7. It's the annual report highlighting all the TDM activities, and Darlene has done a great job assembling this, and appreciate all these great stats so we can see all the good work that's going on to provide commuter benefits in South County. So I would just direct the committee's attention to that, to Darlene's extensive report for the last fiscal year.
Great job, Darlene.
Thank you.
Anything else from this package of information, which is pretty extensive? Okay, with hearing none, I'm assuming that even though our agenda says action is determined necessary, that without any other comment or questions or concerns, that there really isn't any other action needed on this agenda item. Okay, that brings us to item 8, which is a discussion on our next agenda. So I would turn to staff. Are there items that for sure you'll be bringing back, and then or we can ask the committee members to if there's comments.
I guess I'll just start out. We don't have anything listed right now for the next agenda. So we can collect things now, or we'll be circulating a request email asking people to recommend things for the next agenda meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is very soon, Monday, February 6th.
Why don't we plan to not hold our February meeting, given the fact that you have no agenda items and it's really just a week away? So unless something comes up that you feel is urgent and that you need advice from this committee on, I would go ahead and suggest we just wait until March.
That I was hinting at that, so I'm happy that you agreed. I think that the next meeting would be scheduled for March 6th.
Perfect.
And for that meeting, we have on the agenda the Tri-Valley and La Miranda action plans for approval at that meeting. So that's the only thing on the agenda for that meeting so far. But we'll do the same thing. We'll circulate an email and collect additional items for that agenda in the meantime. So for now, do we need to take a vote to cancel that next meeting, or are we just going to go ahead and do that with our discussion here?
I think you can just go ahead and do that. Usually you would consult with the chair and then go ahead and cancel it, but you don't need a vote or a motion from the rest of us unless it was unless we were adding a meeting or we needed to notice it differently. Even then you could get by without.
Yeah, I certainly think that's appropriate, given that's only a week away. So if
I'd like to comment on the week away. I mean, I don't think it should have been on the, I think it's just an error on the agenda, because we weren't supposed to meet January 31st. We were supposed to meet February 6th, but we met early. And I assume that's because we hadn't met in December. So.
Okay, maybe that explains it.
That explains it.
Okay, but then that would take us to a next meeting being on March 6th.
Correct.
And my understanding is, and some of you may have already gone back to in-person meetings. I know the city of Orinda is restarting in-person meetings in March. And so the March 6th meeting, if I understand correctly from my own staff, is intended to be at our Sarge Little Hale conference room in Orinda on March 6th. Does that sound like what everybody's understanding is?
Yes, and pre-pandemic, we had talked about figuring out whether, because traffic can be such an issue for different council members, whether at some point we would figure out a way to do a hybrid where people could call in from a central location in San Ramon or Danville. I don't know that we need to worry about that right now, but just that's something long-term we may look at. It's challenging though, because you still have to have, I believe, a majority of quorum, and then you notice where that would be. For now, I think we should just all meet in person, but I just was going to throw out there that in the past, pre-pandemic, that was something we were looking at, just because traffic actually was worse when we would have meetings in the San Ramon Valley, either in Danville or San Ramon, and then La Miranda folks would be stuck in really, really horrendous traffic getting back home after 3 o'clock.
And they're not going back home. A lot of us are going to another meeting.
There, well, and that's do you have a league event that night, or you mean a council?
No, I have a meeting at 5. That's
okay. Well, anyway, so that's something that we may want to look at, explore with our council as to how we might make it work under the new provisions of the Brown Act and how many people could participate remotely. They would need to notice that location, make it open to the public. But we could certainly have the TAC look at that. That would be a good thing to assign to you to sort of explore what the options are.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. And I'm also, excuse my clock. I'm also open to potentially rotating locations as well, recognizing.
And we rotate whoever the chair is.
Yeah.
So, and I guess if there was an extraordinary reason, you could do it, but you might make it more complex. If you
Okay.
Totally up to you. And I don't mean to usurp your suggestion, because certainly that may be a possibility, but we sort of figure you suffer a little each year if you have to drive a ways, and you just make it work.
Okay. Well, I'm perfectly happy, obviously, to have it in Orinda. I'm sure Renata and Teresa aren't too far behind me. So, but should there, I do agree that exploring whether we can have people attend remotely. I know probably all of you, I know our council is struggling a bit right now with trying to figure out what our options are going to be for the community relative to in-person versus hybrid versus who knows. But so if there is something we can do in that regard that works, that would probably be very good for everyone. So okay, subject to trying to work all of that out, then I assume then we will go forward with our physical meeting in person in Orinda on March 6th.
Great.
So with that, I see nothing else here for the good of this particular meeting. Is there anything I've missed? If not, I think we're up to adjournment for the day.
Okay.
So it's a pleasure to join all of you. Look forward to seeing you in Orinda in March.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.